The time has finally come for me to upgrade the truncator. My gaming computer has been rocking a 5960X and EVGA X99 Micro 2 motherboard for just over 5 years now. It has had some minor updates over the years, but in general, it's pretty much stayed the same. And today, that's all going to change because we are moving to Ryzen 5000 with a 5800X and an AMD Asrock X570 Pro. I actually forgot the name of this thing for a second there. So without any further waiting, let's go ahead and jump right on in. I'm kind of on the fence of what to call this build because it's not exactly a budget build. It's not exactly an enthusiast build like the 5960X was ages ago. But nonetheless, it's still a pretty nice upgrade. I'd say it's probably on the high end nowadays. The only two real things I'm changing in the gaming computer is the motherboard and CPU. So I chose the Asrock X570 Pro4 because it has, or it's one of the only boards that's an X570 MATX board. And I have an MATX case, which you can see back there. So it's pretty important to me to carry over the case because I really like it and I also don't want to spend a bunch of money on a new case, because we're trying to get back into a budget-minded mindset, I guess. Even though there really was no budget, I just kind of bought this on a whim. But nonetheless, it's still going to be a pretty sweet upgrade, and I'm really excited to do that. So that's why I got this board. It has some nice features. I could have settled for a 550M or B, actually, but I wasn't really happy with the Asus offering. Not for any real particular reason. It just, I don't know, it just didn't look really good. And I think this looks good for the motherboard, or for a motherboard. At this point, you guys are probably thinking I'm some sort of Asrock fan, especially because I just made a video about an Asrock motherboard. And I'm really not. If EVGA made a MATX AMD board, I would be all over that in a heartbeat. EVGA is where my heart is at. But unfortunately, they don't support AMD at all, and if they ever made an AMD graphics card, I would probably buy that also, especially nowadays with the current offerings. But anyway, let's not talk about that anymore. There's nothing I really want to point out about this board. I just got it because it was fairly inexpensive and it was available. So originally I wanted the 5900X because that would be a core increase and thread increase over the 5960X. But they haven't been in stock, and the ones that I have seen in stock are overpriced, so I couldn't really justify the price. But I did manage to get this one, albeit for $20 over MSRP. I did manage to get it, and it was here from Amazon within 2 days, which was really nice to see. And I also got it mostly because it's going to be a heck of a lot faster than what I currently have, and it's going to be a lot more power efficient. So I'm not sure if a lot of you guys know or not, but I have been streaming somewhat more often lately, and while the 5960X and Titan that are in there is capable of handling most of those streams, or well, I should say 90% of those streams, it has been a little troublesome for some of the other games like Warzone and Rust. I'm not really sure what's going on there because the Titan X should be able to handle that, but it's been the frame rate has been pretty bad. So I'm hoping that having the system will alleviate some of those issues as we move forward. Also, I was originally intending to carry over the Corsair Dominator Pro Platinum RAM from the previous build into this. This is a 16 gigabyte kit, but I kind of still want to use the 5960X for something. I'm not entirely sure what, but I also have been hearing a lot and reading a lot about how RAM is pretty important for Ryzen, and you can see some pretty good gains with some Infinity Fabric overclocking as well as overclocking RAM. So I decided to pick up a kit of G.Skill memory. This is a 3200 megahertz kit, 32 gigs in total, and cast latency 14. That was a weird way to lay out all those numbers. I don't think we're going to see very much of a performance gain with CL14 over CL16, but you know what, it was like $20 extra and I decided to go for it over another 3200 megahertz kit. But in retrospective, I probably should have gone for a 3600 megahertz kit and cast latency 14, but that would have been maybe $60 more, and I was kind of not really able to stomach all the extra money I've been spending lately since I have to buy all these things for myself. All right, so wow, there's not really much to put on here yet. Maybe I know what we're gonna do. So we're gonna actually test to make sure this thing boots, because this is an X570 chipset and it's not actually for Ryzen 5000, so I'll probably have to update the BIOS. Thankfully, I do already have a 3700X in the server, which I can go get if I need to update the BIOS to support the 5800X. But what we're gonna do, we're just going to test boot this thing and see if we can get into the BIOS or see anything at all and go from there. So, wow, I need to grab some stuff. So thankfully from the video I made previously, I pretty much already have everything laid out that I need to do for this test. So we're not gonna like get out all these fancy parts. I'm literally just gonna use a Dynatron A19 for this. I'm not gonna put thermal paste on it or anything. And I have this old Corsair 430M that's been sitting literally in the box probably for 5-6 years. That's about the same amount of time I've had the truncator. And I think that's everything I need for now. Oh crap, I think I need a graphics card. All right, let's grab that real quick. All right, so I'm gonna use this Quadro so that way I have graphics and it doesn't require any power, because this 430M is not that powerful. And I don't want to stick the Titan on here because that might be too much power draw anyway for the power supply. I feel like I'm missing something. All right, so I think I have everything for now anyway. So let's go ahead and just stick this CPU cooler on the CPU just to give it a quick test. Now, I've already used this CPU with a previous build, so I know it works. And I did run into an issue with that monitor where I had to, or not monitor, with that motherboard where I actually had to update the BIOS before I could use the CPU. Yeah, we're not putting any thermal paste on here. It'll be fine. It's not like we're gonna leave it running for hours. Just a quick boot test and we're good. I think I tightened the heatsink down pretty good. Not really much left to do at this point. Just get everything plugged in and do a test boot. All right, Quadro installed. We're pretty much good to go from here. I'm not gonna even need to put a operating system on this yet. You know, it's kind of funny to think, because the Asrock board, server board that I just looked at actually doesn't have a PS2 port, and that's a server board. And this board has a PS2 port. So if you're into that kind of thing, maybe this board is better than that board for that one reason only. And there we go. Oh my God, forgot to turn this on. So this thing doesn't have a LCD readout, but it has like 4 lights somewhere. So it's got 4 LED debug lights right there, which is kind of nice, but it looks like it's already airing. Oh, maybe it's still in the boot sequence. I think this thing's still booting up. Oh, VGA BIOS, yep. I'm in the BIOS. Processor's picking up at 3800 megahertz. It shows the 5800X, 8 cores, 32 gigs of RAM. Right now running at 2133 hertz. But we should be able to overclock this with relative ease. That's all I really wanted to see for now. We're not going to get into the BIOS, and I'm not going to like really show you everything there is to know about this board. We could do that later maybe, but that's just not something I'm interested in doing right now. So what I just did actually while I was talking to you guys is I went ahead and overclocked the RAM just in case, because I wanted to see if it would do it automatically or if I'd actually have to overclock it manually and make sure all the timings were most correct. Hopefully it just comes back up and shows 3200 megahertz, and it does. So that's awesome. I really wish they would do this for their workstation boards. It'd be so much easier than having to go in there manually and tweak everything. All right, so that is pretty much everything I wanted to see. So now we need to take apart the truncator, and we also need to start thinking of a name for this, so that way it'll have a name. Maybe peasantry, not sure. So I'm actually gonna be pretty sad to see this thing not really go, but you know, I've used it for so long and I've had the 5960X for so long. This is only my 4th gaming computer ever, and it's also one of the first tech videos that I've ever done featuring this build. And so like, there's a lot of history here, and it's just kind of sad. And I'm wondering how long the 5800X is going to last, if it will be able to meet up to the 5960X and last even longer. Now on the plus side, there's actually not a lot of work I need to do because all of the components are already in here and I basically just have to rip them out. Yes. This is why I really wanted to have a standing desk. So this will be one of the more easy upgrades I've done, because most of the builds I've done in the past or upgrades I've done have been total overhauls. New case, new graphics cards, pretty much new everything. So this is a pretty big change of pace for just the motherboard and CPU upgrade. Now some of you are probably wondering why I'm also not upgrading the Titan X Pascal. This is the little P, by the way, not the big P one that came out later. And the real reason why is because I haven't been able to find a graphics card in stock that's affordable and also, well, in stock. So I'm looking at getting a 3080, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna do that. I may try to hang onto this until like a brand new game comes out that I just absolutely have to have ultra graphics on or something to that effect. Because right now this handles pretty much every single game I have perfectly fine. Most of the time at 100 FPS or greater, depending on the game. So I think we're just gonna roll out with that for a little while until we find a real upgrade, or until, I don't know, maybe like Elder Scrolls 6 comes out in 10 more years. Or hopefully within the next 10 years. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna rip this thing out like this. Uh-oh. I'm stuck on something. I don't know what it is. Oh, okay. Just the I/O shield, I guess. And here she is. The board that I've had for as long as I can remember. Okay, maybe not that long, but a pretty long time. And we're switching over to this. Pretty excited now that I have everything out. But still got a lot to do. Alright, so we've pretty much got everything removed now. And this is basically what the board looks like. Hopefully that's in focus. This was such a nice board back in the day. It had literally everything. And for as old as it is, it actually has USB-C, which is still barely common on today's motherboards. The Asrock motherboard actually does have that, which is nice, but I'm probably never going to use it. Alright, before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and install the M.2 drive. So I think it actually goes underneath here. I'm not 100% sure which M.2 slots share the CPU lanes with the motherboard, or I'm sorry, with the CPU, and which one shares it with the X570 controller. I think this one shares it with the controller, so this is like a dedicated 4-lane. I think technically this one is too. We're just going to use this one because the heat spreader actually has the thermal, not paste, but the thermal pad. And also, well, I mean, it's already here, so we may as well use it. There we go. Also, I've been watching YouTubers install thermal pads and heat sinks like this on these M.2 drives for a long time now, and I've always wanted to do it myself, and now I finally have that chance. So this is actually kind of cool for me. Kind of want to do a test fitment with all of the AMD mounting brackets for the Asrock Pro 3. I'm not 100% sure how it goes, but I think I'm supposed to use these spacers on this, like so, and then I think it goes like this. I'm not sure if these are supposed to be facing outward or inward. I ran into this problem the last time, but let's see. That looks like it'll work. So something a bit like that. All right. So if this crossbar goes this way, then that means the CPU heatsink will be sitting like this, which is perfect. Or pretty much perfect. Now hopefully this doesn't block the top slot like it did on the on the X99 or EVGA motherboard. So let me grab a graphics card real quick and test that. Oh wait, I actually have this. It looks like that's going to fit. They're going to be right up against each other. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to tighten this down, and then we're going to do a test fit again, and then I'm going to loosen it up. Oh wait, this doesn't go like this. And then I'm going to loosen it up so that way I can actually make sure that this works. Why is this crooked? Oh, so I'm not lined up. There we go. All right, and then now for a fake fit test. Oh, that's gonna fit perfectly. Sweet. So we're gonna be able to put both fans back on here, which is exactly what I want. A little overkill, but I mean, I paid for 2 fans. I might as well use 2 fans. So if any of you were ever curious to know if the Asrock Pro4 can fit with Trident RAM, or I guess tall RAM, the answer is yes, with both fans, and it is barely, I mean barely tall enough. Like, that is awesome. This one looks a little bent away. So I think the only reason why it fits is because the heatsink is actually pushing this towards the rest. But I mean, yeah, that fits nice and tight. I think we got everything, so hopefully this just slides right in, and we can deal with the cable management a little bit later. How am I gonna plug in these fan headers? Wait, where are my fan headers? Oh, dang it. They fell through. Oh no, they didn't. It was just buried underneath the thing. Got the fan headers tucked away, so now all the cables are out of the way, and this should be able to just drop in, minus the USB 3.0 that's blocking me. All right, that looks good. Now the fun part, we're gonna skip all of this and we're gonna jump right to the actual gaming portion, and hopefully, I don't really know what to expect. It should be fine. Oh, and we're also gonna skip the operating system install. And this is the show for anyone who is curious. If you have the Asrock Pro4 and this X570 Pro, there's plenty of room in the top slot and a graphics card in there. That's probably just at 1 inch or right at 1 inch of space. And that's a lot better than the X99 Micro, because I actually had to move this card to the bottom slot just so I could use both together. So that's good to see. All right, so all that's left to do is play some video games with my Peasant 5800X. I'm gonna play a little Doom. All right, in menu, we're at 335 FPS. We're off to a good start. And now that we're, oh God. Now that we're in game, we are at 103 FPS. So I'd say that's pretty good. Oh geez. Yeah, this is nice.
The Ark fought hard, but they were eventually driven out by the demons.
Woo! Woo! Oh goodness. This whole time I'm getting about 100 frames, and this is on the Ultra preset, by the way. I cannot see anything that's going on. Wow. There we go. All right, we're gonna try and play some Rust. So this is a game I was having trouble streaming and playing at the same time. I think I'm getting better frames. Normally I'm at like 70-ish, but I'm hitting 81 to 88 right now. I'd say this is actually pretty good. 98 FPS, and this is on medium or preset 4, I believe, graphics 4 setting. There's a horse down there. Yeah, this looks good. Let's see what happens when we ride the horse as quickly as we can. 94 frames, 83, 88, 90, 89, 87, 88. It's not bad. This is more than playable. That's not bad at all. All right, well, that was interesting. I mean, the gaming experience is just as good as I thought it was going to be. I didn't really think it would go down, obviously. Things feel a little bit faster, but I'm sure that's mostly placebo. And I'm not really sure what else is left to say about this. It was kind of nice to upgrade and have something different finally after all these years. And I think that's all there is to say. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.